Hello. Hi, guys. I'm live much earlier than the live is scheduled, but also live very late today. Hi, Roman. I hope your day today is better than yesterday. I think that Stremousov is not panicking. Yes, Stremousov is definitely not panicking anymore. Hi, Lauren. Hi, guys. So, hi, Juju. Hi, Theo. Hi, everyone. So I do want to give you a little bit of an update. So lately I've been going live quite late, and I've been having a bit of a hard time, and I've been incredibly drowsy and incredibly tired all the time. And with that, I also have been really hungry, and it's just been like a really weird time. Thank you, Mariana. And I realized yesterday that oh, sorry. I realized yesterday that I had forgotten to refill my thyroid medication because I normally order it for like 3 months in advance, and then I have it ready, and I don't really have to refill it by any means. And so I've been going through this like ridiculous cycle of tiredness and like cycle of like just I've been like hungry and tired and hungry and tired. Like today, I slept literally most of the day and I was just so fatigued. And yesterday, I realized that, I don't have my thyroid meds. And so I, I called my pharmacy, I scheduled to get them, and I should be getting them tomorrow or the day after. Mine are compound, so they're not like readily available at the pharmacy. Usually it takes like a day or two to put them together. They're made to order for like my particular levels of thyroid. And so that makes a lot of sense because I actually haven't had them for a little over a week now. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes an incredible amount of sense. I've been like wondering why I'm like consistently just, yesterday I was eating all day. I mean, all day. Like I would finish a meal and I would still feel like so stuffed. Like I couldn't fit anything inside of me, and I would be hungry 10 minutes later. And I was just like, what is going on? So, yesterday I ate 2 bagels, a full thing of ramen, 3 portions of cereal, a Danish, and a waffle. Okay. Like for someone who's 5'2" and tiny, that is a lot of food. That is a lot of food. And every single time I was like in a food coma, and I literally didn't understand what's happening, because on the one hand, I feel so stuffed and so awful. But on the other hand, I'm so hungry. And this is what happens when you have thyroid issues. When you have hypothyroidism, you're consistently tired, consistently sleepy, consistently hungry. And I was like, well, we've gone over this, like what's happening? And so we've arrived at the conclusion that I didn't arrive at the conclusion. I looked at this and I was like, oh wait, there's nothing in here. So So I'm gonna fix that, and we're gonna go back to our normal schedule, and I hopefully will be able to go live at 2:30 p.m. instead of sitting on my couch and literally dozing off, because that's what happened today. I was sitting on my couch at 2:30 p.m. and I dozed off. Kalaharis is asking, can you cure it, or is it a perma medication? So hypothyroidism is permanent. You can keep the levels at you can keep the levels constant and consistent, but normally it's not something that like I will have to take meds most likely for the rest of my days. So there is that. Hypothyroidism basically means that like your levels of like the hormones that your thyroid produces are not enough, and you have to compensate for them by like artificially adding it. And it's a Ukrainian children thing. A lot of Ukrainian people have hypothyroidism because of Chernobyl radiation effects. So it's basically a child of Chernobyl situation. Hi, everyone. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Taz. Hi, Kalaharis. Hi, Roman. Roman says, should we order you some food? No, please, God, don't. Please don't. Oh my gosh, like I can't button the top button of my pants. And that's from just a week of like ridiculous food consumption. Hi Jillian, hi Gap, hi Kathleen. Hi everyone. So yeah, please don't order me food. I really appreciate that. But honestly, like food is the last thing I need at this point. Um Gap says I take zero point 0.2 mg thyroxine a day. Good to keep it routine. A week off would be uncomfortable. Yeah, exactly. But see, like I don't take thyroxine or thyroxine. I take T3, T4 compound. So basically, like thyroxine is generic medication, even if it's like a brand name. It's you have basically like it's not made for your particular levels of thyroid. T3, T4 is like an addition. You do an additional test, and they basically see exactly how much T3 and exactly how much T4 you're lacking, and they make it up for you. And honestly, like I know a lot of people who take regular thyroid medication, and I've like convinced them to ask their doctor for T3, T4, and they feel much better because it's basically made specifically for your thyroid levels. I honestly, anybody who takes thyroid medication, I really recommend that you go to your doctor and you take I forgot what that test is called, but basically the way that they perform this test to know exactly how much like hormones you're lacking is they inject you with something. I don't know what it is, but basically like 20 minutes later you feel incredibly drowsy and you really really want to pee. It's such a weird feeling, and it's so uncomfortable. It's like one of my least favorite tests on the planet. But then basically they take your blood again, and rather they take your blood, they inject something, this happens, and then you then they take your blood again, and basically they figure out what your levels are supposed to be, and then they prescribe this, because this is what it is. It's like this medication is called CMP T4 and T3, and it's totally different. It's a compound. Like you will most likely have to drive to a pharmacy in your area that does compound medications, because they're not. This is not available at like just any pharmacy. Again, because it's made to order, and you have to like make sure that you call in a couple of days before your prescription runs out, because they can't like just make it on the spot. And oh yeah, a lot of people are saying they have thyroxine and how it differs from the medicine that I have. So thyroxine, like let's say, this is so funny because I'm giving a thyroid medication speech, but I'm seeing so many of you have the same things, have the same condition that I do. But so basically the difference between the meds that I'm taking and the difference between the meds that you are taking is basically like so there are two things that are missing. Thank you, Todd. There are two things that are missing within your body when you have hypothyroidism, and it's T3 and T4. Usual, like generic medication you can get off the shelf with a prescription, what it does is like it doesn't measure the specific amount of T3 and the specific amount of T4 that you are lacking, right? Like the specific number that your body is lacking. It basically it has like an about the level that you're missing, because it'll be like, oh, point this, oh, point that, right? So it gives you like it has standard dosage increments, while you might have like a little too little T3 and a little too much T4 or something like that. So basically all of the medication that isn't compound is made in increments to like one size fits all, right? But as in like, but not necessarily, because you can do different milligrams of like of the dose. But realistically, it's not made specifically for your thyroid issue. It's not made specifically for the exact amount of what's missing within within your thyroid's production. What I'm taking is made for me. Like it's made for specifically for me, for my thyroid issue, for specifically the amount of like hormone that my thyroid is not producing. So it's much more targeted. It's much more personalized, basically. And because it is much more targeted and it is much more personalized, it works much better. Like genuinely, like I know that a lot of people who take I call all of these other medications I call them generic. because I know a lot of people who take those medications and like, let's say they say, oh yeah, like these issues went away, but like my hair loss is still bad. Or like, oh, this issue went away, but I'm still like a little drowsy, or I'm still a little like tired at this time of day and stuff like that. When I take this, any like literally any problems that I've had, they're just not there. The problem is when I stop taking it, is like I'm a mess because obviously, you know, my body is just like, wait, what? Like I'm not used to this, but this is much better, and yeah, it's much more accurate. So yeah, so that is that on thyroid issues. So I would say if you have a thyroid problem, go ask your endocrinologist and tell them that you would like to have compound T3 T4 medication. It's literally called compound CMP T4 T3. So yeah, that is what it is. Oh, refills left. Okay, so that is what it is. Yes. A mess or not, we'll still keep you in our hearts. Thank you. So, okay, let's move on to talking about things that happened today while I'm incredibly still kind of like out of it today. Okay, so one more time for everybody who is asking for the name. It is literally called compound T4 T3 or compound T4 T3. It's not there isn't like any other name for this. Literally compound T4 T3. So that's the name of the medication. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to discussing today's thumbnail. Well, there's a lot that's happened. Hi, Christina. There is a lot that's happened. First of all, red wave, well, didn't happen. Red wave absolutely did not happen. It flopped. I think that Republicans must be incredibly mad and incredibly upset today about the election because, well, they still might get the House, but with a very slim margin. They did not get the Senate. The governors also quite a mess. I don't know who the secretaries of state are. I can't find that information, but it doesn't look like Republicans got anything from what they wanted to get. Lauren Boebert, oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so happy that woman lost. I'm so happy that woman lost, honestly. So yeah, a lot of the states turned blue that, you know, I didn't expect. Like Arizona did a very good job. Arizona is, wow. It's the second election in a row that all eyes are on Arizona, and I'm so incredibly happy. Also, so I know that, so no one got the majority in the Senate, and it does look like technically, Republicans got more seats in the Senate that candidates, and one of them, there are 2 independent seats in the Senate, and one of them is Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders is obviously not going to go with Republican agenda. Then there is another seat from Maine, and they are pretty liberal as well. His name is Angus something, but so he is pretty liberal as well. So technically, the amount of force is 50-50 in the Senate right now. So Republicans don't have the majority pretty much anywhere. They didn't get what they expected. Red wave was a joke. I, for one, freaked out a little bit yesterday because the governor race in New York State, oh my God. I'm so surprised that so many people voted for a Republican candidate. But also, I know why. The mayor of New York City is Eric Adams. No one likes him. The only reason why he was elected is because there were no other candidates. really no other better candidates, but Eric Adams is not liberal. He pretends to be liberal. I, for one thing, he's a Republican implant. He is an awfully incompetent mayor. He also donated to Zeldin's campaign the night before the election, so he's clearly on the wrong side here, and I do not think he will be reelected. He wasn't going to get reelected. He wasn't going to get reelected already because so many people are so unhappy with him. He was like trying to use nepotism to promote his brother into like a government position that his brother is not qualified for. There was a lot going on there, but then he also donated to Zeldin's campaign, which I think completely killed his opportunity to get reelected. So that is on American politics. Yes. Yes. What's up, Grumps? What you doing? Sin? Sinny? Okay, well. Oh, thank you, Todd. Thank you for the corgi. But yeah, so that is that on American politics. Basically, the next 2 years are kind of going to be rough, but obviously not as rough as we expected. I think the voter turnout for Democrats was outstanding. I think it was amazing, and I think that we got to do even better. We got to do even better on the presidential election. I think that 2 years from now, we're going to have to really, really step up because, wow, is this terrifying. I am very, very upset that Marjorie Taylor Greene got reelected. Like, oh my God, why? Why on God's green earth? Why? But, you know, it is what it is. Hi, Vlad. Hi, Vlad from Kyiv. Slava Ukraini. Heroyam Slava. Also, I have quite a headache today, so, you know, I might be a little slower than normal. So, you know, bear with me here. There we go. I hate MTG. Yeah, who doesn't? She's crazy. She's genuinely crazy. Like MTG is, she's not even a politician. She's so like awful. She's an awful person. She incites violence. She's so like, she's so crazy. She doesn't, you know, she's like one of those people who only accepts things. Like, first of all, I don't understand how people can vote for candidates that say that they will not accept the outcome of the election unless that outcome is them winning. You know, that in itself is not democracy. And then those people are saying that the opposite party is like fascist. And it's like, well, at least we accept the election's outcome. What do you mean? It's just, it baffles me how many people are either naive or brainwashed or just are so filled with hatred that they're willing to vote for candidates that just incite hate and violence and break laws on every side that it's possible to break laws. Also, you know, I made this comment on Twitter and I'll make it again, but there are a lot of Ukrainians who, like Ukrainian Americans or Ukrainians who live in America for a while, who vote Republican. And to me, that is so incredibly upsetting because it's so hypocritical. How can you as a Ukrainian vote for Republicans? Like, how? First of all, Republicans deny Ukraine's support. Second of all, Republicans have so many like authoritarian fascist policies. So you are going to advocate for Ukraine to be a free and democratic country and then vote in America to install a fascist government. And to me, it's so mind-blowing how a Ukrainian person living in America can vote for Republicans. And it's mostly like an older generation. And I think that they're just scared that the Democratic Party is like gonna bring back communism and socialism. And they just are so scared of it that this is what they vote for. But also, like, no, go like learn something about politics. I don't know, but how on earth can you vote for, how can you advocate for freedom and equality and for decolonization of Ukraine. And how can you advocate for all of these like policies for change and then go and give your vote to people who want to take away your rights? Literally, the only right they want you to have is the right to bear arms. My God. Anyways, well, you know, it is what it is. So, fascinating news. Russia has run out of most of its missiles. They have shot so many missiles that they have gone over the critical level of load that no countries ever go over, because now if they were invaded per se, they wouldn't have enough ammunition to fight it. I think they have about 120 Iskanders left, which those are their precision missiles. And they they have about 120 Iskanders left. They've used so many missiles on Ukraine that they've gone over like the critically low threshold, the threshold that no one ever goes over. Shoigu came out and made a statement that Russians are indeed retreating from Kherson, which, here's the thing, this is strange because from the friends that I have, or from the connections that I have on the front lines, I have heard that in several areas of Kherson region, Ukrainian army has already come in there because Russians did in fact retreat. And it wasn't a trap because they did a bunch of reconnaissance. There were drones that flew over, and they've determined that it's safe. And, Ukrainian army has already entered those settlements. They haven't entered Kherson as of yet. I don't quite know what to make of this because Russia retreated So Shoigu is the Minister of Defense of Russia, and he made a statement that Russia is retreating from Kherson. He made that statement publicly. And that came after the news that Russia basically is like has no tanks left, no missiles left, no anything left, and they're doing really, really bad on their supply chain, and they can't manage to make anything in the country because Russians don't make anything in Russia. They've always depended on other countries. They can't make helicopters because, for instance, the motors for the helicopters were taken from Motor Sich, which is a factory in Ukraine, which is a plant in Ukraine that had just been privatized by the Ukrainian government because the plant's owner has been found in assisting the Russian invasion. So they can't do that by any means. They have no way of manufacturing helicopter engines or jet engines or anything really of that matter. They don't really have their own steel plants. They don't really have they don't have the capacity to manufacture mostly anything, right? So Shoigu came out. He said that Russians have retreated from Kherson. It does look like they have, but I don't see, I wouldn't rejoice yet because I don't see how and why they would have retreated so fast. And without looking back, because Kherson is a very strategically important place. And there were so many rumors of Russians kind of setting up a trap for Ukrainian army there, and that they're only pretending to retreat, but not really. So I wouldn't rejoice as of yet. I would wait for official information. There hasn't been any official confirmation about that from the Ukrainian side. But one of the things that does add, fuel to the fire is that Kirill Stremousov, who is the pseudo head of the temporarily occupied Kherson, from the temporarily occupied Kherson, he was found dead apparently this morning. And Kirill Stremousov is that guy who remember I played you a poem where he was saying America, American land is Russian land, African land is Russian land, like European land is Russian land. Everywhere I go, I feel at home because it's Russian land. That crazy guy. So he is the pseudo head, the implanted head of like the occupied Kherson. And he was found dead today. And it's been said that he was in a car accident, which I don't. What kind of car accident? Like he accidentally fell out of the window of the car, assisted. So so I don't obviously I don't necessarily I don't think it was a car accident. I think it was I think it was either a hit by the Ukrainian military or it was a hit by his own people because of how badly he did in Kherson. I think that they might have just eliminated him, honestly. But the fact that they've eliminated him kind of gives me hope, because that might indicate that Russia actually does not have resources to hold on to Kherson. With that said, obviously Ukrainian military is not just going to blindly like go in there and rejoice. We're going to conduct a lot of reconnaissance. We're going to conduct we're going to gather a lot of intelligence to make sure that Russians are not hiding in Kherson and waiting for the Ukrainian military to come in, on low alert and stuff like that. Obviously, no one is stupid enough to just be like, oh yay, they left, let's go. We fully understand what we're dealing with. We fully understand what the repercussions of that are. And we fully understand that when you deal with Russians, if Russians come out on national TV and say that they have done something, most likely there is, it's not that simple. Also, I do need to, what are your nervers? I don't know what you're trying to say. I do need to, I need to leave for a second. I'm having a bit of an allergy situation, so give me one moment. I will be right back. Cindy is here, and you can, try to, maybe she'll entertain you this time. So hopefully Cindy will be a good host, and I will see you guys in like 2 minutes. Sinon, what, you want to say hello to people? Say hello. Say hello. Sin, I'll be back. Sin, why aren't you entertaining anybody? Okay, so no treat challenge, no, because she doesn't, she just eats the treats either way. Also, I've given her some treats today. Oh my gosh, the ears go up. Okay, fine, you've convinced me. Okay. I posted a little TikTok thing the other day that I thought was like so funny, but there is this sound that I found on TikTok. You know how Russia has been saying that they want to desatanize Ukraine? So there is this sound on TikTok, and it's like, "Hello, this is my house." Oh, hello, this is my house. Like, this is Asahana, my friend. And so I posted it the other day, and I posted it during the election of panic, obviously, so it didn't get absolutely any traction. But I thought it was so funny, and it was with Cindy too. So I'm gonna show it to you because I think it deserves more attention than it got, at least a little more. Okay, wait, give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. Okay, so
hello, this is my house. This is Sakana. He's my friend. Hello, this is my house.
And like that text on it says, "When Russians come for me." Oh, thank you, Alex, because I thought that like it would be so hilarious. It would be like, oh, if Russians are coming for me to my house, this is my house. This is Asahana, my friend. And I just absolutely find it so funny, the way that they oh my gosh, the way that sound is, it's like Satana. And I absolutely love it, and it does apply to Cine so much. So I was like, oh yes, oh my gosh, I know exactly what to do with this sound. This is probably my first like TikTok that's a trendy sound use TikTok, but I just thought it was so on point. It was so great. Hi Alex, привіт, привіt Україно. So yeah, so that is all I have for today in terms of just discussion stuff. Let me remind you, for those of you who might be new, I'm Yulia. I'm from Ukraine. I was born and raised in Lviv. When I was 16 years old or 17 years old, I moved to the United States, and I have been living in New York now for 11 years in New York City. My parents live in Ukraine. Hi, Chad. My grandparents live in Ukraine. My entire family is in Ukraine currently. I am trying to go to Ukraine and help out on the front lines with medical deliveries, but I can't for now because I'm waiting for my travel authorization and for my passport, as I'm in the green card process. But the second that I can, I will, and I really, 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 really want to go really want to go home. So yeah, so we do this every day. Normally during the day around 2:30, I go live for an hour or two each day, and we look at the news for the past 24 hours from accredited news publications, and we basically discuss them. I give context, historical and geopolitical, to the invasion of Ukraine and to everything that's happening. And yeah, and we discuss it for the first 30 minutes before the newscast starts. We usually kind of discuss some things that have been, big on the media. We talk about Russification. We go over certain information that you probably weren't privy to up until February in the West. So basically, this is like a hub for all things Ukrainian, for all things Ukrainian history, all things culture, and all things geopolitics. And I try to be the best resource that I can be for you guys. After the news that we are about to jump into right now, we're about to jump into right now, which is the news for the past 24 hours. After that, we're going to do a Q&A, or rather like a discussion thing. And recently, I've been reading from this book. I've been reading 2 chapters each day from this book called You Don't Know What War Is, and it's from Yeva Skalietska. And she's a 12-year-old girl from Kharkiv who basically documented in her diary every day of the invasion of Ukraine, starting from February 24th, how she felt, what she has seen, and it's been translated into English. It's an incredible book, and I think it's been it's been incredibly insightful, but also incredibly sad to read it, because it's a 12-year-old who has this super deep understanding of war and what is going on. And she has these this internal emotional turmoil and stuff like that as well. So stay tuned and, wait for the end of the broadcast to hear this. Or if you don't want to, you can go into my Amazon wishlist and you can find this book in there and you can order it for yourself. With that said, I stream on I stream on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok at the same time. So if you found me on either one of these platforms and you prefer another platform, you can always switch. My handle is the same everywhere. It's at Yulia. Rule of thumb is that if you look me up on social media using this handle and you don't find me, then I'm not on that social media. I have made it abundantly easy for everybody to find me across platforms. Hi, James, and hi, Misfits. So yeah, so basically, yes, this is that. I do have a Patreon as well if you would like to, contribute to my independent journalistic endeavors on YouTube. I have all of the news streams saved from like the beginning of time, and also I have interviews with the Ukrainian defenders. One of them is a serviceman of Azov, who is a Mariupol native, who has been in Mariupol, in Azovstal, in Russian captivity, and now is in recovery for his traumatic injury. And he was nice enough to give me a 4-hour interview that I broke down into 4 parts. And part 3 is now up on my channel. So if you would like to check it out, it's there. On TikTok, I have a lot of short videos that explain all things Ukraine, and on Twitter I give a lot of unhinged commentary behind the scenes when I'm not live. So yeah, if you prefer any one of these platforms, you're welcome to follow me there. And thank you for being here. Your likes, your shares, your follows really help spread the information, because the more activity there is in my account, the more people see it, the more people get information about Ukraine. Also, I would like to immediately say my YouTube is not monetized. TikTok monetization is really small, so I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I want people to be able to get information about Ukraine. I've gotten this a lot of times that like, oh, you're like asking people to follow you so you can make more money. Well, I make like about $20 in a good month from TikTok, and my YouTube is not monetized. So that is not something that you need to be worrying about. I don't do this for money. Okay, that is about it. If you want to find any useful links, in my link in bio, there's beacons.ai/Yulia, and you can find all of the resources there, all of my channels, all of the all of the links to everything I've ever mentioned. And that same thing applies to YouTube. It's in the description of each video. You can find the link to Beacons. You can find the link to my Patreon. You can find the link to everything that we've discussed in this stream. Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you, Red Duke. So with that said, let's jump into the news for today, or for the past 24 hours. Yesterday, the news was a little brief and abrupt because I was having a day with the election. Like, all of us in the United States have been having a day with the election. It was a bit scary, it was a bit shocking, it was a bit upsetting, and I'm sure that a lot of people can relate. But then at the end of the day, it actually turned out not as bad as we thought. Okay, so the National Police of Ukraine has identified 168,000 Russian servicemen who participated in the invasion. Also, law enforcement officers have already identified 6,600 dead civilians who were shot or tortured by the occupiers. And I mean, that number is gonna unfortunately keep growing day by day, because again, Mariupol, I say this every time. I watched a documentary yesterday about the journalists who were quote unquote stuck in Mariupol at the beginning of the invasion, but realistically they weren't actually stuck there. They went there knowingly, and they went there knowingly, knowing that they might be encircled, knowing that they might die, knowing that it's incredibly dangerous, but they wanted to document as much as they could. So they stayed there specifically for that purpose. Those were the journalists, I believe, from Associated Press, but who are Ukrainian. And I was reading about what they were saying. And so they said, Mariupol, well, I mean, we all know this, but Mariupol is going to be, when all is said and done and everything is revealed, it's going to be one of the greatest tragedies that the world has seen in terms of like death and devastation. There are 150,000-ish about people still living in Mariupol to date. And there are 17 to 18,000 Russians that have been implanted into Mariupol, to Russify it, to bring in the Russian world. And Russians have been pasting all over the TV this huge apartment complex that they have been building for the residents of Mariupol. And it was supposed to house, according to their propaganda, it was supposed to be for 2,500 people, but actually, or 2,500 apartments, but actually it's 500 apartments. And most of these apartments are not going to go to Mariupol residents. They're going to go to the Russians that have been implanted in there, because those people need to live somewhere too, right? And there is just a lot of really upsetting, really awful stuff going on there. And I can't even imagine. I mean, I can, but I don't want to. I don't even want to imagine the amount of tragedy and the amount of gore that we're going to find in Mariupol once it's liberated. It's thank you, Natlin. It's going to be so incredibly just horrific, really horrific. And that's one of those like dichotomies here. I'm looking forward to Mariupol being liberated so much, but I'm also so incredibly horrified and not looking forward to finding out everything that we will find there. The Institute of the Study of War suggests that Iran is trying to demonstrate deeper cooperation with Moscow by announcing the arrival of Russian National Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev. General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine says the law enforcement agencies of the Republic of Belarus have intensified measures to research, identify, and detain citizens with a pro-Ukrainian position or those who criticize the authorities or the so-called special military operation of the Russian Federation in Ukraine. Well, there are actually lots of Belarusians who have a pro-Ukrainian position and who have been engaging in partisan activities and stuff like that. So I would say that they will most likely have to put half of the country behind the bars if they were trying to, arrest everybody with a pro-Ukrainian position. The problem is that the reason why they're doing that is intimidation tactics. It's the same intimidation tactics that they were using in Russia, but Russians are not very well known for protesting and for not succumbing to pressure anyway. So I don't even think anybody needed to intimidate them. They weren't just going to do anything anyway. But in Belarus, the reason why they're doing that is those are intimidation tactics. They basically want to show you that, if you show your pro-Ukrainian position, if you try to go against the government, you're going to end up like these guys. So they just want to strangle these movements before these movements even have a place to be, Привіт! Привіт. Не знаю, в що ти залипла чи чого ти залипла, але привіт. Я трошки не зовсім розумію коментар, але привіт. So there is that. So the reason why they're doing that is obviously not because they think that they can identify every pro-Russian person. It's not because they think that they can, they can jail all of them. They fully understand that most of the country, every pro-Ukrainian person, they fully understand that most of the country has pro-Ukrainian views and has counter-Russian special military operation views. But because of that, they need to find a way to fight these views, and they need to find a way to, just kill that before it even has a place to demonstrate itself. So that's what they're doing. As a result of kamikaze drone strikes on Dnipro at night, 4 people were wounded. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Arbella. As a result of kamikaze drone strikes on Dnipro at night, 4 people were wounded. 3 of them are in serious condition. All of them are employees of the logistics company that was targeted by the drones. 5 kamikaze drones destroyed air defense forces. So here is what that looks like, and honestly, it's terrifying. It is very, very terrifying. What 5 kamikaze drones, the amount of damage that 5 kamikaze drones could invoke onto a huge logistical supply company or logistical supply hub. In better news, actor Sean Penn handed over his Oscar statuette to President Zelensky before the end of the war as a symbol of faith in victory. President Zelensky presented Penn with the Order of Merit of the 3rd degree for his support and significant contribution to the promotion of Ukraine in the world. Let me remind you that Sean Penn is one of the first celebrities that really avidly was supporting Ukraine, and Sean Penn was also the celebrity that was trying to call on billionaires to privately buy destroyer jets for Ukraine in order to help us close the sky. So when Ukrainians were avidly advocating and still believed in NATO potentially maybe closing the sky for us and understanding that we really truly need that, Sean Penn was the person who was like, okay, well, if NATO is not going to do it, we can do it. And he was trying to launch multiple campaigns asking billionaires to privately buy jets for Ukraine. He's been advocating for Ukraine since day one. He truly was either one of the first or truly the first celebrity who was so avidly advocating for Ukraine victory, for helping Ukraine. Sean Penn was, on the original front lines of, on the original information front from the very beginning. And here is a video of him and Zelensky meeting, and I do want to show it to you because, it's a sweet thing to see. It's a very sweet thing to see how, how their relationship has grown since, and how supportive Sean Penn still is to Ukraine, how much he has done for us. So let me do this. You guys know how it works. You will see it full screen on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. And here you will see.
Nice to meet you. So great to see you. You're looking good. Thank you. Because too busy to be out there acting. This is for you. Oh, Sean.
Yes.
No.
Please.
That is yours.
No, I feel terrible outside. it's just a symbolic, silly thing.
Yes, but
if I know this is here with you, then I'll feel better and stronger for the fight.
So great honor, but until we will.
When you win, bring it back to Malibu.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Because I'll feel much better knowing there's a piece of me here.
We have to win. Some moment which is very important. It's not from me. It's from Ukraine. It's more not only from me. Yeah, please.
President of Ukraine for outstanding extraordinary.
Thank you, and I thank you.
To show you the first man who was here was this guy. I think you know him. Come back. That is the date, and here you can read. If you don't know this guy, that is a great honor today.
There are 3 places in the world that all the pride of my life will be. The place where my daughter was born, the place where my son was born, and this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're
This
proud
is-
to know you, and thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really.
No, we thank you. We thank you very much.
I think it's such an amazing, first I wanted to show you this video because it's a very feel-good and touching video, at least I think so. I think that their interactions are so sweet. And so if you don't know what that what that little like plate on the ground was that Zelensky showed to Sean Penn is we basically, so in LA there is a walk of fame, and that is a walk of fame of celebrities from different movies, right? In Ukraine we made our own walk of fame, and that is a walk of fame of people that Ukraine wants to honor forever on in our capital in Kyiv, that have helped Ukraine win this war, and that have helped Ukraine repel the Russian invasion. And so there are a lot of people that are going to be honored on this Walk of Fame, and obviously there are going to be a lot of people in decades to come who are going to help rebuild Ukraine, who are going to help bring Ukraine back to Ukrainization, who are going to bring Ukraine to the world arena, who are going to contribute to our growth, who are going to contribute to our development. And so one of these people, one of the first people to be honored actually at that Walk of Fame, at that Alley of Fame, is Sean Penn. I see that TikTok for some reason is having a, okay. Boris has a spot too. Yeah, I know that Boris has a spot. I know that Boris having a spot. So there is Boris Johnson has a spot on that Alley of Fame too, and I'm sure that our UK people are probably. It's like a bittersweet sort of situation because hi Indonesia. It's a bittersweet sort of situation because Boris Johnson is probably one of the worst leaders in the world in general, and the UK absolutely despises him, and he has done so much damage to the UK, and as a prime minister of his own country he wasn't able to really do anything that was worth applauding or anything that was worth commemorating. But as a as a prime minister who had helped Ukraine, he has done quite a lot. So it's very funny to see sort of like the dichotomy of how much Ukrainians usually love Boris Johnson versus how much his own people absolutely despise him. And to be honest, I don't, I'm very grateful to Boris Johnson for all of his efforts, but also I fully recognize that it's not really Boris Johnson who has done all of that. It's actually the people of the UK, because wait, is my connection on TikTok struggling? Because I think I'm hearing that mainly because of Ukraine, but I quite like the guy. Oh, I see Jillian. So Jillian likes Boris Johnson, but yeah, well, see, for me, it's kind of like when Boris was like exiled from his spot as a prime minister, a lot of Ukrainians were like so angry. A lot of Ukrainians were so upset. A lot of Ukrainians were so so like unhappy about it. And it's kind of, well, for me, I'm Ukrainian, right? I really do appreciate all the help for Ukraine, but at the same time, like for me, it's not about Ukraine, right? For me, it's about the UK, and for me, it's about what kind of leader he is to the UK, because at the end of the day, he is the prime minister of the UK, not Ukraine. At the end of the day, also, it's the support of the people that counts, because people are the driving force of what Boris is going to support as well. But yeah, so Boris is on that Alley of Fame. So is Sean Penn. I thought that this gesture by Sean Penn was so symbolic. It was so sweet. It was so nice. And I thought that when he said, like, when Zelensky was like, "Oh, but I can't take this. This is your Oscar," Sean Penn said, "Well, if you can't take it, just bring it back to Malibu when you win." And I thought it was like such an adorable thing to do and thing to say. Okay. I lost my train of thoughts because I was looking at the screen, and on the top there was a comment that popped up to my video that I posted about there's so many people so upset about this video. I posted a video about these people that I saw in the subway in New York City who were talking about their friend who is Ukrainian, who was posting videos as POVs of running away from shelling and bombs in Ukraine. And they were like, oh my God, you're not special. And they were talking like that sort of. And so I recorded a video knowing that, full well knowing that TikTok might blow up this video so much that these people in New York might see it, because I didn't have the opportunity to actually come up to them and say it to their face. So I wanted to say it through social media, right? And so I called them woke liberals. And there are so many liberals in those comments just absolutely yelling at me and being like, how dare you? They're not liberal. They're like Trump fascists, blah, blah, blah. So let me explain something. I am a liberal, okay? I'm a Democrat. I'm a liberal. I fully support human rights. I'm very concerned over the path this country is taking. I am not criticizing liberals. I called them woke liberals because, first of all, these people are liberal. I've heard them discuss a lot of things for a lot of stops before they discussed their friend from Ukraine. And so they have liberal views on life, okay? The reason why I called them woke liberals is because I was using it sarcastically, because every single one of their views on life was one of those views that is just like an opposing opinion that's completely wrong and actually not researched at all, but it's not like mainstream, so to speak. So that's why we're like so woke and so different, and we're gonna express this like opinion that's the opposite to mainstream because we just don't want to be mainstream. I would literally never in my life use the word woke, not sarcastically and not ironically, and yeah, and it's funny to me that people think that I'm attacking liberals. Meanwhile, I'm literally liberal myself. And I don't know any single person who uses the word woke, not ironically or not sarcastically. And anytime I refer to someone as woke liberal, I actually mean they're not because it is sarcastic. So to anybody who wants to scream at me in my comments for saying that woke liberals were saying this stuff, well, first of all, unfortunately, these people are in New York City, and unfortunately, they do consider themselves liberal because I did hear their discussion on the train. And however, also, unfortunately, they literally don't know what they're talking about, and they're very, very, very ignorant. So yeah. So yes, also I am liberal, and I am not, you know, by any means trashing anybody with the liberal views, because those are my views. Anyways, and if we can't criticize each other and we can't criticize certain aspects of like our parties, right, then we're no better than anyone else. And it's like so incredibly annoying when people don't even look at the context and just come in and like want to yell at someone because they didn't like their word choice. Okay, Hungary blocks EU plan for 18 billion aid package to Ukraine next year, says Bloomberg. That is not surprise. That is not a surprise. Obviously, Hungary has been blocking lots of helpful legislation for Ukraine because Hungary is Russia's beach, you know? Sand, waves. Hungary is Russia's beach. Sand and waves, you know. Air Force destroyed 5 Shahed and 1 Orlan drone. On November 9th, after midnight, the enemy attacked Ukraine from the temporarily occupied territory of Zaporizhia region with Shahed 1, with Shahed 136 UAVs. There is a question here that I actually really want to address. Would you believe that you have viewers that are moderate Republican and support Ukraine? Yes, I do. I would believe that. I don't think that every single Republican is bad. I don't like, here's the thing. I get this question a lot, and I get people arguing with me a lot saying that, well, Republicans support Ukraine too. Sure, individual Republicans do. But as a party, the vast majority of Republican Party is against Ukraine support. Also, the people that are in the Republican Party right now don't even represent the Republican interests, because the people that are at the head of that party right now are fascists. And the people that are at the head of that party right now won't accept the election results unless they win. The people who are at the head of the party right now are ridiculously underqualified to even be in politics or represent states or represent districts or represent cities or anything really, or represent like a group of people. And so, yes, I do believe that there are people with Republican or conservative viewpoints who support Ukraine. I don't believe, though, that you can truly support Ukraine and you can vote in Republicans today, because the party today is incredibly anti-Ukrainian in its majority. The party today is incredibly authoritarian in its majority, and the party today is incredibly incredibly anti-human rights. The only human right that this party is advocating for at the moment is the right to bear arms. Now, am I super happy with the people who are representing me as a Democrat right now? No. Do Democrats realistically deserve a vote right now? Really not either, because haven't fulfilled any promises, right? But here's the thing. While I don't know whether the Democrats are going to be able to fulfill the promises that they have made to me and to all of their other voters, right? I am confident that the Republicans are going to take away essential, basic human rights. So here's the thing. Yes, I do believe that there are good people who consider themselves Republican. I do believe that there are good people who consider themselves Republican and support Ukraine. But at the end of the day, I think it's an oxymoron to say that you vote for the Republican Party right now and you support Ukraine, because in its majority, the Republican Party wants to cut aid to Ukraine. In its majority, the Republican Party supports Russia. President Donald Trump endorsed Putin, and no matter what he says now, because he wants to go for a re-election and sees that the majority of Americans actually support Ukraine, he does support Putin. Whatever he says now is just a farce. This guy flip-flops all the time. The Republican Party right now is just a garbage fire trash talk show. You know, it's like opening Yellow Pages. It's like opening Yellow Pages. It's just a candidate trashing another candidate, trashing another candidate, trashing another candidate. They're not trying to invoke any good change. They're not trying to make America better. They're not trying to bring over innovation and stuff like that. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to trash their opponents. And I mean with like ridiculously like gossipy tactics. And it's, you know, it's just, to me, I'm not saying like, oh, you're Republican, you're bad. No, like I fully understand that a lot of people don't like Democratic policies. I fully understand that a lot of people don't like Republican policies, but you need to understand that Republicans, starting with Donald Trump, is not the party that you started like following or you started like looking at or you started liking earlier. I understand that a lot of people prefer the Republican Party for, you know, for religious reasons and reasons of Christianity, for fiscal reasons, for reasons of tradition, for reasons of yeah, I guess that's mostly that, for fiscal reasons, for reasons of tradition. Like, I get that. I fully understand that, but there is a very big difference between being a Republican in 2000, in 2004, in 2006, in 2008, in 2012, and there is a huge difference between continuously keeping to follow the Republican Party since 2016, because to me it looks like the only reason you still stick to it is because you hate Democrats. But you really, what you're missing here is that this party at this point worships a fascist dictator and quite literally does not want to accept results of an election if that election is not in their favor. That party also wants to ruin American democracy, where it wants to leave it up to the states to decide who to give electoral votes to. That is not democracy. That is absolutely not democracy. That is like, oh, well, we in this state, decided that we like Trump, so we're just going to say it's Trump, even though like the majority of the people in the state voted for like, I don't know, someone else. Whether you like these candidates or not, whether you want Republicans to be in power or not, Heroyam Slava, it doesn't matter, because their policies are harmful. And I understand that if you're a Republican, these policies seem favorable to you, because those policies will put your candidates in power. But that is not right. That is fascism. Like, I didn't like when Donald Trump was elected. I hate the guy. But I wasn't walking around there saying that, like, oh, we should change the policies. We should change the policies so we can put a Democrat in power just because I want a Democrat in power. At that point, unfortunately, a lot of people voted. And that's how Electoral College worked. But you really, like, the policies and all of the stuff that they're trying to invoke, it's like, how can you not see? For me, it's not about the hate on like another group of people. It's not about the hate on people's views. I couldn't care less if you want to live, I couldn't care less if you want to have an AR-15 in your house. I couldn't care less if you abide by every rule and law of Jesus. I couldn't care less. You have that right, but you also need to acknowledge that I have the right to not do that. And I have the right to not want to live by Jesus' standards. And that I have the right, and I should have the right to get an abortion because I personally don't believe in God. And because if I accidentally get pregnant and I can't sustain a child, I shouldn't be forced to have it. It's like, I don't want to impose my view of life onto you, and you shouldn't impose your view of life onto me. But the Republican Party is trying to impose these theocratic, authoritarian life views onto everyone, and that's the difference. So for me, it's not, I'm a Democrat, I hate Republicans, therefore I'm gonna like do that. No, there's so much garbage in the Democratic Party too. But I know that if I elect a Democrat, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm not gonna be scared to death that I, as a woman, am gonna wake up in a week and I'm not gonna have most of my rights taken away. But I know that with Republicans, that is a scare every day. Yesterday, that election for the New York governor was super close. To me, New York is a safe haven in the US because I know that my rights are gonna be protected. I know that my gay friend is gonna be able to marry his boyfriend. I know that my friend who's Black is going to be able to marry his girlfriend, and no one in New York is going to try and take that right away from him because it's a human freaking right. And yesterday, for a couple of hours there, I saw how close that election was for the governor, and I was terrified. I was terrified. Because if Democrats come to power, really nothing changes for you as a Republican. You can still not have an abortion if you don't want to. You can still not marry a man as a man if you don't want to. You can still not marry whatever. You still have the same freaking rights. You still have those rights. You just want to impose them on other people. And as a Ukrainian person who's fighting for freedom for my country, I absolutely can't endorse something that is fighting for fascism here. So yeah, I do understand that there are people who identify as Republicans who help Ukraine, who support Ukraine. I fully get that. But I'm also saying, You can identify as a Republican, but in this day and age and in this environment, you need to think about what makes you a Republican and what made you decide to be a Republican and what policies and what ideology you were following when you decided to vote for that party, and look at the party now and really reevaluate if this is something that you want and this is something that you are voting for. Because realistically, you're voting to take away human rights. And most people are doing that because they just hate Democrats. But for me right now, it's not about Republican versus Democrat. It's about literal survival. And you know how hard it is to be a person who sits here and thinks to myself, okay, so my home country is half destroyed and under rocket fire. It's at war. It's at the biggest war that our generation has seen since World War II. It's the biggest war that all of us have seen since World War II. There is a genocide in my country. And then I look at the United States and I think about the fact that I've spent 11 years of my life here, and I wasn't able to see my family for a very long time because of the green card processes, because of all of this stuff, right? And I sit here and think, my home is being destroyed. Oh my gosh. That is so cute. What was that? Oh my God, that's so cute. Thank you, 8 Life. Oh my God, that was so pretty. But so that was so pretty, thank you. But so what I was trying to say is that, you know, as a Ukrainian, I sit here and I look at my home that's being fully destroyed, right? And then I sit here and I think of the 11 years behind my back that I've sacrificed to be able to build a home here, that I haven't seen my family, that I haven't seen anyone. And I think about the next 10 years. And I think that in 10 years, unfortunately, if things keep going the way they're going, I, as a Ukrainian, I, as a woman, I, as a green card holder, I, as a resident of New York City, I, as a resident of the United States, will I be able to have rights? Did I fight for 10 years to be able to live in this country and have rights? Did I just sacrifice 10 years in order to end up in the very circumstances that I left when Yanukovych was in power? And that is terrifying. That is incredibly terrifying. Because as Ukrainians, we have always fought for freedom. We have always fought for Ukrainianness. We have always fought for our ability to express ourselves. We have always fought for our language, for our culture, for our very existence. And I look at the US today, and I'm not sure that 10 years from now, we're not going to have to fight for the same stuff here. I'm not sure. And it's funny because, you know, I see a lot of Republicans today talk about stuff like, oh, we're fighting for America, we're fighting for American values, we're fighting for our Constitution and stuff like that. You're fighting for things that were relevant 250 years ago. What is there to fight for as an American? What did you not have? You have the freedom of choice. You have the freedom of religious expression. You have the freedom of language. You have the freedom of everything. You've had every single freedom. And what you are currently fighting for is for these freedoms to be taken away. What were you fighting for when you said, make America great again? Make America what again? Great as in how? Great as in like slavery? Great as in guns in every house? Great as in what? In 2022, what is great America? Is that a country where a woman gets killed for wanting an abortion? Is that a country in which a woman will go into septic shock before aborting a fetus that's dead? Is that a country in which a gay man will be executed for being gay? Is that a country in which children will be bullied? Is that a country where we're not going to do anything about school shootings? What is the great America to you? What is it? Because as far as I'm concerned, America has some corruption issues, and America had some inflation issues and some issues with salaries and some issues with equality and stuff like that. And we were sort of starting to fight for it. And those were the issues that we should have addressed to make America great, But what we did instead is we took those issues, we amplified them, and we weaponized them against our own citizens. As far as I can tell you, up until 2016, America was pretty decent. It's pretty great. Had its issues. They were annoying. They were things that we really, really, really had to work on, high truthful. But they weren't nearly as... I think that here is the thing. Post-Trump presidency, the slogan, "Make America Great Again," fits more than pre-Trump presidency. And "Make America Great Again" should stand for values like make America equal, make America safe, make America profitable, make American citizens comfortable, bring minimum wage to a livable standard, make American dream possible again. That's make America great again. And we were going in that-ish direction up until 2016. And now, after Trump, and after his presidency, and after the chaos that Trump-endorsed Republican candidates have brought onto this country, "Make America Great Again" is actually the slogan that is very, very fitting. But it's not fitting in the racist, homophobic, xenophobic, bigoted context in which it has been used for the past 8 years. And I'm saying 8 because Trump's campaign did not start in 2016. NATO Secretary General announced the date of the Alliance Summit to be held in the neighborhood of Russia. The meeting of NATO, the NATO heads of state and government will take place in Vilnius on 11th to 12th of July, 2023. The UK will send the armed forces of Ukraine heated tents and means of protection from the cold on the eve of dangerous winter, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said. The armed forces of Ukraine will be provided with 12,000 kits, which include a sleeping bag for cold weather and a mattress. It is also planned to deliver more than 25,000 sets of clothing for extremely cold weather by mid-December. U.S. Under-Secretary of Defense for Policy Colin Kahl said that Russia has probably lost half of its battle tanks and used most of its precision weapons in the war with Ukraine. Putin has failed. Russia will come out of this war weaker than it went in, he told reporters, adding that Russia has suffered tens of thousands of casualties since the war began in February, which is an order of magnitude more than the Soviet Union losses in Afghanistan. 17 EU countries responded to Ukraine's request for assistance and sent 500 power generators, Deputy Prime Minister for European and Euro-Atlantic Integration Stefan Lishina. Pope Francis said that Russia's war against Ukraine cannot be solved by infantile logic and weapons, but only by the soft power of dialogue. Yeah, Pope Francis, I would like to put you on the front line of Ukraine to live in Kherson or in Mariupol. And then after that, let's talk about dialogue. Okay, let's talk about the dialogue that Russia has rejected every single time. Let's talk about dialogue in which Russia puts forth conditions for how Ukraine should act. Meanwhile, Russia is losing. Let's talk about all the missiles that Russia has used in Ukraine to the point at which they're running out of missiles. Let's talk about all the destruction that Russia has caused Ukraine. Let's talk about how that can be solved with soft dialogue. I understand that this is a spiritual person, okay? And I understand that they need to encourage peaceful talks and stuff like that. But it is not the time and it is not the place. And if you are a spiritual leader and you cannot see yourself advocating for weapons or like whatnot, then just be silent. Because what you are doing and what you are saying is you are encouraging the Russian narrative and you are encouraging more and more death in Ukraine. Ireland supports Ukraine's accession to the European Union as soon as possible, Minister of Foreign Affairs Simon Coveney said. I might be pronouncing that wrong, so if you are Irish and you can tell me what your Minister of Foreign Affairs name and last name is, please let me know. Russia's efforts to repair the Crimean Bridge continue, but it is unlikely to be fully operational until at least September 2023. According to UK intelligence. Russian propagandists report about the death of one of the so-called leaders of the occupation administration of Kherson, Kirill Stremousov. They write that he died in a car accident. Currently, the information needs to be confirmed. The occupation administration of the region confirmed the death of collaborator Stremousov to the Russian media. Occupiers are blowing up absolutely all bridges on the right bank of Kherson region. Thus, they're forming a retreat and trying to slow down the onslaught of the armed forces of Ukraine. The onslaught of the armed forces, said Serhiy Klan, deputy of the Kherson Regional Council. Meanwhile, a bust of Russian writer Alexander Pushkin was dismantled and sent for storage in Kharkiv. Vice President of the European Commission, Valdis Dombrovskis, promises to work with Hungary to support 18 billion euro bill for Ukraine. Russian Defense Minister Shoigu ordered the Russian army to leave Kherson and the right bank of the Kherson region. The Russians are withdrawing to the left bank of the Dnipro on Surovikin's proposal and Shoigu's consent. President Zelensky signed a decree on the establishment of 4 military administrations in Kherson region. These are Kakhovka, Dalmativka, Holopristan, and Khrestiv administrations. What is this? Oh my gosh. Shoigu согласился с войск. Interesting. Okay. Bloomberg, citing sources, reports that Putin will not participate in the G20 summit to be held on November 15th to 16th on the Indonesian island of Bali. Instead, Russia will send Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. I'm so very curious. Is that even allowed? Is anybody going to let him in? I don't think anyone's going to let him in. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg urged to wait for confirmation that Russia has withdrawn its troops from Kherson. We have seen the announcement, but we will wait and see what will happen there. But what we know is that Russia was first pushed out from near Kyiv, then in the east around Kharkiv. And now we see that Ukrainians are able to push back Russian troops also in the south around Kherson. It is inspiring to see that the brave Ukrainian military are able to liberate new territories. I'm actually very curious to see what's going to happen there, because again, it does look like Russia is trying to save face. It does look like Russia is trying to save some troops. It does look like Russia doesn't really have the capacity to withhold and withstand the Ukrainian offensive operation on Kherson. But at the same time, better be careful. Also, to someone, John Spector, who's asking me, how is your accent so good? Well, I don't know. It just is. I'm also so very incredibly tired of this question. I don't know. You could ask, like, how do you know so much about, politics? Or like, oh, wow, your English is very good. Or like, oh, you speak English so well. Good for you, girl. Or like, I don't know. I really enjoy this newscast. But, for some reason, anytime a new person comes in, 1 out of 4 times, they have to comment on my accent as if it's like the only thing about me. I don't know how my accent is so good. It just is. I don't know. My accent is also decent in Italian. It's pretty digestible in German. It's pretty okay in Polish. So yeah, I don't know. Just good with languages. Just good with pronunciation. Just good with sounds. I don't know. So tired of these things. Like, you guys don't understand. Those are not like compliments. Those are not like appropriate things to say to somebody. They're so derogatory. And they're so like offensive and upsetting. It's like, what do you think I'm supposed to sound as? Like this? Just because I'm Ukrainian, I'm supposed to sound like this? Most people don't sound that way anymore, Most people like actually learn language on YouTube and they can hear people speak. And so, nobody really sounds like this. This is like a terrible stereotype. Anyways, Ukraine sees no signs that Russia is leaving Kherson without a fight. Advisor to the head of the OP, Podolyak. According to him, Russian groups are present in the city and additional reserves are being brought to the region. In the war with Ukraine, the Russian occupiers used more than 400 Iranian Shahed 136 drones. The Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine noted that most of the drones were shot down, but it is impossible to destroy all of them. Germany reported on another batch of aid for Ukraine, the website of the German government. Among the changes compared to the data as of the previous week, it states 30 Dingo armored vehicles, missiles for the Iris-T air defense system previously provided to Ukraine, 4 sensors to detect and interfere with drones, 5 M1070 Oshkosh tractors, and another loader. Highlights from Zelensky's evening address. The enemy does not give us gifts, does not make gestures of goodwill. We are fighting for all of this. We are moving very carefully, without emotion, without necessary risk, in the interest of liberating our entire land and to minimize losses. This is how we will ensure the liberation of Kherson, Kakhovka, Donetsk, and our other cities. In the temporarily occupied Crimea, Russians started digging new trenches near Chonhar checkpoint. And there are some other, there have been trenches being dug around the entirety of Crimea, so they're preparing for the AFU to come storming, which is interesting because that only shows that they're scared. That shows that they're scared, and that shows that they know Ukraine is capable of it. Mobilized Russians near the Belarusian town of Baranovichi were given weapons and helmets of the World War II model. Some machine guns are inoperable, General Staff reports. That is not uncanny, to say the least. We're very used to seeing stuff like that coming from Russia. Let me see. Ukraine downs 9 UAVs over the past day. Governor says Russian forces kill 3 civilians and injure 11 in Donetsk Oblast. As I said earlier, Donetsk has seen death every day. Crimean bridge unlikely to be fully operational until next September. So Russians keep trying to restore the Kerch bridge and it keeps not working. They've closed it back. It's a disaster. Russian troops in Luhansk Oblast are afraid to store ammo in warehouses because we blow up. Russia's attacks kill 1 in Kherson Oblast, wound 4 in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Emergency blackout scheduled across most Ukrainian oblasts on November 9. Reuters says Eastern European countries preparing for new Ukrainian refugee wave in the winter. UK to provide armed forces with 25,000 sets of extreme cold weather clothing by mid-December. Israeli military analyst says 70% of Russia's Black Sea fleet is incapacitated. Reuters says Pope Francis condemns use of mercenaries in Ukraine. Wow, Pope Francis. Prime Minister Shmyhal says EU proposes 18 billion euros aid plan for Ukraine in 2023. And Hungary blocks it. Top Russian collaborator in Kherson Oblast reportedly dead. Russian troops ordered to leave Kherson. Foreign Ministry says Russia ready for negotiation with Ukraine given current realities. Maria Zakharova, a spokeswoman for Russia's foreign ministry, also accused the US of pressuring Moscow and being involved in the war in Ukraine. Russian state-controlled news outlet RIA Novosti reported the statement on Russia's readiness for negotiations comes amid its announcement that it's withdrawing from northern Kherson Oblast, including the city of Kherson, because it is impossible to defend the territory. On November 7th, President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a video address that he was ready to hold negotiations only if Russia withdraws from all Ukrainian territories and pays reparations, and if all those involved in Russia's war crimes in Ukraine are punished. So it's very funny because Russia says that they're ready for negotiations, but they're not, because if they were ready for negotiations, they would withdraw from Ukraine. Also, I personally think that it's a distraction tactic. I think that they're trying to say, like, look, we're withdrawing from Kherson. We're ready for negotiations. Oh my gosh, you Ukrainians, you are really, really winning over us. We don't know what to do. And I think they're doing this on purpose. I don't think they're actually ready for negotiations. Germany gives Ukraine Iris-T missiles, Dingo armored vehicles. Voices from the trenches, Ukrainian soldiers near Kherson share what they feel and fear is the article on Kyiv Independent that I want to share with you today. Oh. So my phone died, and I'm gonna get a wave of people right now from TikTok saying, what happened? Wait, so I just want to let you know that that's what's happening. Let me put the link in the description to this video so you can read this article. This is the article detailing the voices of the soldiers who are on the front lines of Kherson, how they feel and what they fear. So I'm going to save this in the description of this video under here on YouTube. On TikTok, sorry guys, my phone has died. So yeah. Sorry. Zelensky talks with Dutch Prime Minister on November 9th. Then Ukraine liberates 2 villages in Kherson Oblast, Pravdane, Kalynivske. That has been published online. I also have some inside information that some other that some other villages were liberated. Then governor says Russian troops use incendiary ammunition to attack Sumy Oblast. Russia attacks Dnipropetrovsk Oblast with cluster munitions. Zelensky holds meeting of commander-in-chief's staff as Russia announces withdrawal from Kherson. So that's interesting because they're trying to figure out what the next move is. Yeah, Ukraine says Russia's negotiation offers are another smokescreen. Exactly what I was saying. That is that I have for you for today. My phone died. That's why TikTok went down. I'm sorry. Now let me address a comment here. So Nora says, Yulia, I listened to the Guardian's podcast Ukraine today. Do you have any recommendations for additional podcasts? Yes. Okay, so there is the Russia-Ukraine podcast. It's on Malcontent News. So if you go into malcontentnews.com, they have a fantastic podcast. I actually did an episode with them. It's called the Russia-Ukraine War Podcast. It's amazing. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, it's on like every major platform. Then I would say, hi Mad Max. Then I would say also try out, it's a podcast from Kyiv Independent, and it's called, oh my gosh, one second. You know what? I'm going to look it up because I forgot the name of it, but I will let you know in a minute. It's a really good one as well. Kyiv Independent. Podcast. One second. Power Lines. It's called Power Lines. So Power Lines, it's from Ukraine to the world. So it's a very good podcast. They basically talk about a lot of very interesting things. They kind of summarize a lot of what's going on, and it's sort of like an outreach of Ukrainians to the world. It's available on their website. I'm not sure if it's available on on like different streaming platforms, but yeah, check it out. They're good. I've been watching your interviews. They're so amazing. Oh, thank you. Well, you know, I think the people that I've interviewed are just amazing. Thank you, Mad Max. It's not me, it's them. Okay, so oh, hi 300 life or hi 8 life. So no, I didn't get blocked. My phone just died. That's what happened instead this time. So I'm back up on my other phone, but yeah. But it seems like a lot of my technology is not charged properly today, and I'm not charged properly today. So I say this, how about we do the discussion today, and then I'll read 4 chapters tomorrow from the book, because honestly, I'm just, like, I really need my thyroid medication, and I'm so not doing well without it. And I'm just like, I have a headache, and I have, you know, I'm still tired, and I really need to be better about my medication refills. Oh my gosh, city time. So see, here is the issue with Life's Drop fundraiser possibly going to happen. Yes, Taz, it is going to happen, but I'm talking to Mission Kharkiv about it. So, you know, I'm going to try and do it with Mission Kharkiv. So I will let you know once we've discussed that. So see, it's really hard for Cine time right now because this is Cine. Okay, see, Cine right there. Cine is completely passed out. This is Cine for those of you on horizontal social medias. Just sleeping right behind me. Yeah, the book reading, I was saying, I'm asking to do it tomorrow. I'm asking to do 4 chapters tomorrow instead, because I'm just a little out of it today. I know that the past 2 days have not been the best in terms of news and in terms of my sort of readiness and stuff, but I am so oh, hi Pamela. Hi Elliot. Hi Rosie. Yeah, the good life of a dog, and Cindy is definitely snuggled up. But yes, I am just a little, you know, I need my meds, and I need to get back on my feet with that because I'm definitely feeling the absence of them. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much. Let's talk about, I don't know if there are any questions, suggestions, anything like that, discussions. Let's do it. If not, then I am going to go, honestly, I don't even like eat some food, and I would say sleep, but I have things that I need to finish before I can go sleep. So I'm gonna try to go take Cindy for a walk so I can wake up a little bit and breathe some fresh New York City air. Get food. Good night. Okay, good night, guys. Bye-bye. Oh, Armin, I was just saying, you know, we didn't have the Armin quote today. And we didn't have a siren yet, but look at that. Wait, guys. Let me read the quote from Armin, and that's a perfect finale to the newscast. In the Art of War, Sun Tzu wrote, "A leader leads by example, not by force. Putin can't lead people to victory in war because he isn't a leader. He's a bully. This war is teaching Russia this lesson." And I fully agree with that. As I said, I always really appreciate Armin's quotes because they're always very on point and they're always very good and really relevant to the situation. And I'm so happy that we got a quote to commence our newscast today. Thank you, Armin. I'm very glad that you were here, and I'm very happy that there is a quote. So thank you very much, and you have a good night, guys, and I will see you tomorrow when we will read 4 chapters. I think maybe I'll start with 2 chapters and end with 2 chapters. Oh my gosh, thank you, DW. Oh, that's so cute. Little star explosion. Okay, bye, guys. Yeah, super nice of Armin. Bye.